January 1066. King Edward the Confessor of England dies without an heir. His death triggers a race for the crown. 3 men will claim the throne. 2 will die. 1 will change England forever. This is the story of 1066, the year England changed forever. Let me set the stage. Edward the Confessor was King of England for 24 years. He was a devout man, more interested in religion than politics. But he had a problem. He had no children, no clear heir, and when he died on January 5th, the throne was wide open. The first man to move was Harold Godwinson. He was the Earl of Wessex, the most powerful nobleman in England. His family had been the power behind the throne for years. His sister was married to Edward. On January 6th, one day after Edward's death, Harold was crowned king in Westminster Abbey. He was the first English king to be crowned there. But Harold had enemies. William, Duke of Normandy, claimed that Edward had promised him the throne years earlier. He claimed Harold himself had sworn an oath to support William's claim during a visit to Normandy in the 1060s. Harold's oath is depicted in the Bayeux Tapestry, a 70-meter embroidery that tells the story of the Norman conquest. There was also a third claimant, Harald Hardrada, the King of Norway. He was a Viking warrior king who had fought across Europe. He claimed the English throne through an old treaty between his predecessor and the Danish king who once ruled England. 3 men, 1 crown, and only 1 would survive. Here's where it gets brutal. In September 1066, Harold Godwinson's own brother Tostig, who had fallen out with Harold, joined forces with Harald Hardrada. They invaded England from the north. They landed near York, defeated the local defenders at the Battle of Fulford on September 20th, and took the city. Harold Godwinson had just married. He was celebrating his wedding in London. When word reached him of the invasion in the north, he made a decision that would define his reign. He marched his army 190 miles in just 4 days. He covered the entire journey in 1 week, one of the most impressive military marches in English history. Harold caught the Vikings completely by surprise. On September 25, 1066, at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, he destroyed the Norwegian army. Harald Hardrada was killed. Tostig was killed. Harold had secured his northern border. He had won. He was the undisputed king of England. But his victory lasted exactly 3 days. On September 28th, while Harold was still celebrating his victory in the north, William of Normandy landed on the south coast of England. He brought 7,000 men, knights, archers, infantry, and cavalry. Harold had to march his exhausted army 250 miles south in just a few weeks. The men were tired. The army was depleted after Stamford Bridge. But Harold had no choice. He had to stop William. The 2 armies met near Hastings on October 14th. The battle lasted all day, from 9 a.m. until nightfall. The Normans had cavalry and archers. The English fought on foot behind a shield wall. For hours, neither side could break the other. Then Harold fell. According to the Bayeux Tapestry, Harold was killed by an arrow in the eye. But there's another version, a contemporary account that says Harold was hacked down by 4 knights, his head cut off, his body dismembered. Both stories could be true. The tapestry itself shows both a man with an arrow in his eye and another man being hacked down. Here's what we know for certain: Harold was dead. His body was so mutilated that his wife had to be brought to the battlefield to identify him. The last Anglo-Saxon king of England was buried on a hillside overlooking the sea. William the Conqueror was crowned King of England on Christmas Day, 1066. He would rule for 21 years. He built castles across England, replaced the English aristocracy with Normans, and changed the English language forever. French became the language of the court. English became the language of the peasants. This was no ordinary battle. This was a cultural genocide. William ordered the Domesday Book, a survey of England's landholdings, the most detailed tax record in medieval history. His castles, his laws, his language, all of it reshaped England. The landscape of England today, the cities, the cathedrals, the very name of the country, all of it is Norman. So let me ask you something. 3 men fought for a crown in 1066. 2 died. 1 conquered. But here's the twist. Harold Godwinson was the only one of the 3 who actually had the throne. He was crowned king in January. He died in October. And he was the last Anglo-Saxon king of England. William wasn't English. He never learned the language. Neither did his heirs. For the next 200 years, the kings of England spoke French. The language of the country didn't return to English until the 14th century. 1066 is one of the most significant years in English history. It's a story of ambition, betrayal, and war. It's a story of how 1 year changed the fate of a kingdom. And it's a story that proves that history is rarely clean. Harold was a capable leader. He was brave, intelligent, and tough. But he was unlucky. He won the greatest victory of his life at Stamford Bridge, and 3 days later he lost everything. 1 man's death, 1 arrow, 1 mistake, and a kingdom changed forever. This is lost time.